Okay, welcome back and good morning, everyone. Today, I did send an email out, but it went south somehow. But today, Michelle and I are going to figure out how to get it out to you. But a lot of it is going to be under discussion for today's class. Okay, what I was saying is that we will be painting, our theme this session is going to be favorite things. And what does that mean? Well, it could mean favorite books, flowers, movies, candy, like any favorite candy, a drink, maybe it's a cocktail that you're loving. So the idea is we are going to be constructing or fabricating a accordion fold booklet, or what I call a grid painting, or separate small paintings that are going to be part of a collection. So you should try to think that these, if they're separate paintings, that they're done in the same size. So first of all, let me talk about the book. The book is an accordion book. And Michelle, we could go to the table. We can go to the, okay, so yes.
Karen, you want to turn it the other way. Start turning, keep going, stop. That's good.
Okay, that's pretty good on the table. Oh yeah, that's actually pretty good. Okay, this is one that I did. Let me just get it in the right way. And I just took a paper that I had bought at Blick, and they have a wall of papers that you can buy, all different colors, all different prints, or you can be doing your own painted paper, just whatever you have time and energy and inclination to do. So the idea is we're going to build one that has a front and a back, and that's just made out of cardboard. I'm going to actually fabricate one right here. So you're going to see how to do it. And then inside, what I'd like you to do is, over the course of the session, we're going to be putting in paintings of our favorite things. They can either be, paintings by themselves, or they can be a written poem that is treated like a painting. So you'll have room for 4 here. And then on the other side, on the reverse side, you can either have one long one or add 2 more small ones. So that makes 6 in this particular booklet. Okay, so as you can see, I'm a baker and I love flowers, and M&Ms happen to be a favorite. I think more because of the colors than anything else. But it's kind of I called it a drugstore candy because it's just one that is a kid favorite. And then the poem is one that was written by a friend of mine, and after so many years of submitting work and trying to get published, she finally did, and her work was published in a beautiful book. So this is a tribute to her. Okay, so let me go back, and this is one booklet, and what happens is you have to figure out how big you want your paintings to be, and then that'll be the length of your paper, which this is the paper. And it's divided into the different paintings. And then we'll be scoring them and bending it like a fan. You guys know how to make a fan as a kid. Okay, so that's one style. All right, then I did another style, which is the paper that I'm using here today. I found this paper, and it was just like colored cubes, and it was so interesting to me. It's like a rice paper. It's, you can buy it by the sheet or not. And what I did was, I don't know how many of you were with us when we did these foam tray printing, but I took the word, let's see, where are we here? Okay, favorite things, and I did it on tracing paper. Then I turned it over and I pushed it into a piece of foam. Then I put white paint on it and printed it on the colored blocks, which made favorite things. And I think it's kind of an interesting take on it because it's a little bit artistic and very easy to do. I mean, you could do any kind of lettering, and it sort of looks interesting, like it's been there for a long time. And then on the inside of this one, it's the same thing. You would have the front and the back. So now I'm going to show you how to fabricate this outside piece. Okay. All right. Here's what you do. You decide how big you want your paintings to be. This one is 5 tall by 5.5 wide. Okay. Then what I did was I took the big sheet of paper and I laid this down on the sheet. And I said, well, you know, just like when you're wrapping a package, you have to figure sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, where you have it to cover. So that's what that's about. And you just take it, and then at the corners, you're going to make a slit on each corner so that you can fold it in. I've been using, for adhering, I've been using this, what they call it's an Elmer's Extreme stick. So this is what happens. You take the extreme stick, glue stick, of course, and I'm going to put it right on here. And I'm doing this a little faster than you would do it normally because of our time constraint. And because this is a watercolor class, I want to get to the watercolor as well. Okay, so you glue it, press it down, turn it around, and this will be on the video so that you can follow along, you know, at your own pace. Okay, so that's that. And then on the ends, you want to put the glue here and then bend this in. It's really pretty simple once you get the hang of it. And then you put this in. And this is going to make the front and the back of your accordion book. And the reason I chose to do this as favorite things is that it's sort of a collection of your ideas and, you know, what are your favorite things? And you can pick up this little booklet and it'll be, you know, a great reminder. Same thing on this side. This is an amazing glue stick, by the way. I just discovered that it really is incredibly strong and works very well. So fold this in, and depending on the thickness of your paper, you know, that'll make that happen. You just have to work at it until you get the thickness right. Okay. And we bend this in. And now you have either the front or the back. And, you know, you don't have to put any lettering at all on it. It can be just plain, if you like. It can be, you know, your favorite book, your favorite things, and that's how it'll work. And take your time and do a really nice, neat job of folding. And so you're going to need one of these for the front and one of these for the back. So this, in essence, is the back of this book. So let me show you what happens here. So if this is the back, I take the last page, and you see what happens is the last page will fit on here, and it will cover, you know, you'll have a little bit of the border.
Karen, we lost your picture.
Oh, what happened?
You may have gotten a call.
Oh, bummer. Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah, it says sales iPhone. I don't.
That's not me. Oh, there we go. Okay, so on the back of this thing that you've just covered, you want to place this. So on this page, you can either do it on one side or the other. You guys can still see, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So you're going to put your glue on the back, and then you're going to adhere it to the inside of the book. Make sure you bring the edge, this edge, to the edge of the book, because that'll be where it folds. And if you get any glue on the front, you can just erase it off. Okay, so now we have the front, and the back. And when you open it up, you're going to have your paintings inside. And I've already put one inside here, another one for baking, which shows baking tools. And we're going to be doing some of these paintings together, just as a demo, because I've done some different kinds of techniques on each one. Okay, are there any questions so far? on how to put the booklet together. Any questions? And let me look in the
Yeah,
chat.
Karen, I
Karen.
just jumped in at 10:02. Can you hear me?
I'm sorry.
I was wondering how you put those pages already in the inside. That must have been a first step you did. How did you get, is that one sheet that you folded or did you?
It is one sheet. Here's the sheet. Let me
Oh,
go
all
back
right.
for a minute. And here's the sheet. And you can see I have lines on there,
Yep.
which indicate the pages. And if it folds this way, you're going to score with a blade very lightly. If it folds the other way, you go to the other side and fold until it, makes a fan, makes an accordion.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay. All right.
One more quick
Start
question.
at 10, wasn't it?
Pardon me?
This class was supposed to start at 10, right?
It did start at 10.
Okay, because it seems like you're at the end of something that started a while ago.
No, it started at 10.
Okay.
I have a
Karen-
quick question.
Actually, it
What-
did start
What kind
earlier.
of paper are you using?
What kind of paper for which? For
They're different papers?
Yeah.
the outside paper is a paper that I bought. They sell it by the sheet, and it comes in colors. It comes in colors and prints. Here's what it looks like when it's just this is an orange sheet. And it's it's kind of fibery. It comes on a big sheet and you can cut it down. So, or you could use your own, you could use wrapping paper. The paper is not essential, but it should be thin and flexible. That's the main thing.
And the other one?
Oh, they're all the same. They all came from the same place. This paper, this was a big sheet.
No, the inside one I'm asking.
Oh, the inside one is just watercolor paper. It's watercolor paper that I have on a big pad, and I cut it so that I would have, if each one of my pages was 5.5, so it's 5.5 4 times, and then it's 5 tall. And that's
Okay.
what makes the inside. Okay, this is you need it to be watercolor paper or something, because you can paint right on that. You don't have to paint separately and paste it in. That's a choice that you have. Okay.
Karen, how did you select the size? Was that just arbitrary?
Well, I took my largest pad. No, that's a really good question, Camille. I took my largest pad and I said, well, if I want to have 6 paintings, front and back, I just figured out mathematically if they were, so long and would they fit on this pad. And that's how I came up with it.
Some of us may not have that large a pad of watercolor.
I have the solution to that. Ready?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Now, this last one, which is the one I'm going to demonstrate from more of the beginning. This is just the paper as it comes, right off the big sheet. Okay. Now this one is a little bit different. And remember I said favorite things you could have. Let me come closer to the camera here. These are things I've had for a long time. And in my studio, you might notice around here that there's a lot of orange accents. So I'm partial to orange. So what I did was I had this packet of seeds and it said kaleidoscope carrots. I had some of these seals. I had an old stamp. What is that from Toy Story? I had some little beads and I had a feather. So I decided that this one was going to be more of a collage. And you can certainly do that, things that you've collected. This particular book is sort of what you're saying, Camille. I wanted this to be more than the size that I had. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is an 8-panel one. And in the middle, I'll show you where it's taped together. Let's see in the back. Let's see. Can you see the masking?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you do. And what happens is when you put your paintings over top, you won't even see the tape. Or if you can use a decorative tape, that's okay too. Okay. So let me just go back for one moment and I'll show you what's going to happen when we make the back of this one. Okay. The back of the one that's the collage. Let's see, where am I? Okay, there we go. Okay, so I have the paper and I know that this paper will wrap this correctly because I've measured it. All right, so, and here is the little cardboard thing. And the cardboard is about the width of a penny. So you can find leftover cardboard, you can find mat board, mat board when you're matting something. So you can use that as well. Okay. Now, you want to cut these corners so you'll be able to fold it. And I want to do this kind of quickly because I want to show you the painting example. Okay, so here we go. We have the same cardboard. We're going to put it in. We're going to get our handy glue stick. Put it on again, once again. And, because you're going to have time and energy and, a way to do this really neatly, which is what you should be doing. And for some reason, this rice paper just works really well. I mean, I know Jerry's has it. They have a wall of paper in the back. In fact, it's really hard after a while to make a decision. There's so many wonderful ones. Okay, and then we're going to put this on here. But this is going to hold your collection of favorite things and paintings. I hope everybody has been thinking of their favorite things. If not, I can start today. Okay, so there we are. We have the two flat ends. Now we're going to go to the other ends. And first you want to get your short ends in like this. And when we do our paintings, I'm going to be incorporating some of the techniques that we learned in the last session. And what I'd like you to do, when you actually start to think about what you're painting, I want you to incorporate and think, oh, would this be better if it was, if I did some lettering on here? Would this be better if it was, if there was some plastic wrap in the background? I'll show you what happened to this cupcake that I did. I painted it and the background was just not good. So I said, well, what can happen here? It needs some kind of texture. And I wasn't thinking ahead, which I really would love you to do, is think ahead a little bit. Sometimes great accidents happen, sometimes they don't. Okay, so there's that. And then do this last panel. And once you get this, you only have to do this once. This is a one-shot thing. I'm sorry for that beeping. Okay, so now here's the back of this one. Yeah.
Another size question. It looks like the cover, front and back covers are a little larger than the inside pages, about 1/4 of an inch or so.
Well, not just you can judge it. When I was cutting it, I was somehow when you start to fold them, they become, it's called creep, CREP,
Okay.
and it creeps in and makes it smaller. So I would make it the same size as your cover, and then if you find that it's sticking out or whatever, you can always trim it. Okay. Okay, so now we have this one that was pasted together because this has a lot more pages. Well, let me show you the cupcake there. It was, I did the whole painting and then I did this kind of background color and I thought, well, that's okay. It's not bad, but it just didn't have any life and it wasn't working. So I took some saran and I put another little bit of paint on there and then I put the saran. And for some reason, I really like, it sort of looked celebratory in a way, like there was confetti or something happening, at least something happening in the background. Okay, so now this last page, I'm going to put on the back. So I'm going to do it just like this. And this is this extreme goop, and they have these in Michael's. They have them in most stationery stores. They're not real expensive, and it lasts a pretty long time. And, you know, and you can still keep your paintings going as long as you can do your booklets next week and we can kind of review it again. And you can, if you needed to get the glue stick or you need to get some other supplies, you could always get those during the week. Okay, voila. Front, back. Now you can also adorn the back if you want, or you can put your name on the back. You know, it's better if you're going to do something three-dimensional that you have that only on one side. Okay, so we have one that's more collage and has more pages. So if you needed to add more pages, or if your pad wasn't big enough and you needed to have two sections together, that's what happens with this one. This is the bigger one. Then we have this one, which here's another cupcake that was done. It has a more conventional look. Here's a sunflower. There's the M&Ms. I'm going to be demoing painting the M&Ms and the poem today. So, oh, okay. So those are three different booklets, three different ones. And, you know, if you run out of pages in one, you can always build yourself another one to have volume 2. So that's the actual building of that. Okay, now if you decide that you do not want to do an accordion fold booklet, if that's just not in your wheelhouse, the other way I would like to have you approach this is just because I'm trying to get you to have a collection of things that they don't have to be necessarily related to each other, but they can be, you know, things that are your favorites, and that's what they have in common. This was a grid painting that I did after I traveled to Russia, and we were in the countryside. We were in the city where this was a manhole cover, you know, of course, all of the onion domes and some architecture and a park bench. And then I took a coin, a Russian coin, and I inked it up and, you know, put it here and there. So whenever I look at this, it takes me back to that trip. And this is a memory piece for me. And these were my favorite things about that trip. So that's what I'm trying to get you to do. Say you wanted to do all your favorite childhood candies. They might be M&Ms, they might be a candy bar, they might be, you know, those dots things. There's lots of things that you can do, but, you know, they don't have to be unrelated. They can be totally related. So this is a grid painting. And how do we approach that? Well, you take a piece of watercolor paper. I think this is, let me see the size on this. You should work whatever pad you have. This one is 10 by 14. And this came right off a pad that I had. And I looked at it and I looked at some of the things I wanted to paint that were like in the accordion books. And I did the M&Ms here. Some, let's see, let me see if I can get it. Can you see that? Yeah, you can see the drawing. And then on the bottom, I had the poem, which I did in masking fluid. And then I did those tools, those baking tools down the side here. And I turned them. First, I had them in the other book this way. Here, I turned them on the edge. So I divided it up into five spaces. And then now I'll decide what goes here and here. The thing that's making the divisions is this, you know, this washi tape that they have. And this is from Michael's, and it's very inexpensive. And they had all these little, all the colors. The colors don't really make any difference, but they give you a sense of where you're going on your page. And you can, you know, lay them on there, and that should keep your paint from creeping into the next division. Okay? Okay, so that's, oh. Okay, so those are the two real definite directions. And then the third direction is where you would just do paintings that were related and, all the same size. Are there, let's see, any questions here? Emails have been sent. Is scrapbooking paper the right thickness? You know what? Try it and see how it folds. That's the most important thing. And from Lita, how do you cut the cardboard and paper? I used this kind of a blade. If you can be comfortable with it or not. This is, just a straight edge blade and a ruler, or you can use an X-Acto. But, it works very well. Okay, do we have any questions about the two methods here, either the grid? Yes?
What thickness is that tape, Karen?
This is about 1/8 of an inch.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, they're 1/8 of an inch. And you can buy them wider if you want wider divisions between your, but I thought that this was a good width. So it wouldn't be, these big wide white stripes going down.
What was the name of that tape?
It's called Washi, Washi. It's like a Japanese tape. It's very hip now. For the kids are using it for all kinds of things, covering stuff. But I don't know if I was too hip. I just like the size and the color. The size and the color.
Karen,
Yes.
I have many sheets, single sheets of washi paper that I've had forever. And I'm wondering, I could probably use one of those for covers, right?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. You can definitely use that. Yep. In fact, that's what I was saying. It can be wrapping paper. It can be anything that strikes your fancy. I just happened to go there and look, and I wanted something orange. Got that. Wanted something that was kind of artsy and graphic. So these had like the artistic tools on it. And then this lettering I did on the computer. And
So-
then this I did by hand on that,
What do you think about scrapbooking paper? Is that too thick? Because that's pretty square for the cover. What do you think?
Yeah, you just have to see how it folds.
Okay, that's a good measure. Okay, good. Thank you.
Just to see how it wraps. Okay. All right. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to demonstrate a couple of things painting wise. If everybody's set with the methods or the construction of what we're doing. So it's either a grid or it's an accordion fold booklet. I'd love to see you over 6 weeks, at least try maybe the grid and try maybe an accordion book, but because it's something cool to know, and you can always have the theme. It can be different. I mean, one can be all flowers, one can be places you've been. It's just a way of keeping a collection of paintings together. And for some reason, I don't know about you, but boy, I have paintings all over this place, and it was a way for me to keep them together. Okay, let me get this. I have a prepared sheet here. Let's see, where are we? Oh, here we are. Okay, this is the same exact way that I treated the M&M package, which is this painting right here. And what's a good way to do it is the first thing I did was I looked at all the colors, the yellow, the green. I made a little palette for myself of all the colors first, and I mixed those up in little bits first to make sure I like the values and the intensity of the colors first, especially the brown. But before I got to that, I drew this, very lightly in the background. Let me see if I can get this closer to the camera. You can see my pencil lines going around, and then I went in there with the masking fluid, and anything that I was going to leave light or white, I put in masking fluid all around. And then this is the size of the booklet. So that's how and you can do these. You don't have to take these off of your, if you're working on a block, you don't have to take it off the block. You can leave it on there and paint it. Okay. All right. So, and then the other thing I did was I had, of course, a package of M&Ms, And then I took a photograph with some of them spilled out because I wanted to see, the arrangement. That is what I drew from. So if you're using a candy bar, or if you're using another package of something that can spill out, like Skittles, that they're very colorful. That could be kind of fun. A roll of Lifesavers could be really cool. Anything that has some form and shape, and of course, you should like it. It is supposed to be a favorite. So M&Ms were a favorite of mine, but not lately. Okay, so let me get to the painting part here. Let's see. Any questions? Let's see. 5 by 5.5. Yes.
The size of the board you're working on now is larger than what you will put in the book, right?
Well, if you can
Or no?
see, you can see I've drawn a pencil line around it
Yeah.
that shows me the size of the page in the book.
Okay.
Yeah, I always kept that in mind. Always keep your, it looks larger because I have more paper here.
Yeah. So
Okay.
this is not something that you would paint in the book. This
You
is
could.
something you paint separately and then
Well,
put it in.
You could paint right in the book. You could paint in the book. You can leave off your back cover and you can stretch out your watercolor paper and you can paint right on the page. And if you don't like it, you do another painting, you can put it over top. So there's lots of ways to work with that. Okay,
Question, Karen.
sure.
You said you took a photograph of it, or you could have your thing in front of you. Are there advantages or disadvantages to working from an actual object or working from a photograph?
Well, the only reason I did that was because my life is full of different things that are going on here. So I can't leave it set up unless I maybe glued everything down. I guess you could hot glue it down in position and then move it off and on. But it was better. It was easier for me to be able to work this way. But I did look at the actual object, to see shadows. I did look at them, quite often. Okay. But it was better for me to see the package like this. I had the package, always had the package, and I always had, this photograph that I printed out. But you don't have to have it you can paint right. If you have an area that you can leave it set up, wonderful. Okay. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is get that brown going, because that's kind of important. So I'm looking at all my browns here. And it's a chocolatey brown. It has a little bit of red in it. Okay. And you know how I always tell you, don't just go willy-nilly, give it a shot over here. Now that's a little too red, really. So we go back and we have to put some more darker brown in there. That's better. And maybe a little more. So, and you can take the time to actually, that's pretty good. That's not bad. It's a real chocolate brown. Okay, so now I have what I feel is a good brown. Now I'm going to go to a red, which that red is pretty dark. So let's see what we got here. I'm gonna put the red. That's a pretty good red for an M&M. May need a little bit of darker color, so I'll add some. Okay, so now test your red. We like that. I think that's pretty good. Okay. Now the orange. Now you can mix an orange if you don't like one or you don't have one that you like. I have a cadmium orange, and I think that's pretty good. It might need a little bit of red to go in it. Whoops, that's too much. Yay. Okay, so let's see now. And also the difference between the red and the orange has to be significant. So you don't want it to be too close. That's pretty good. See, so, I'm testing each one to see how I like it. And then let's see. Blue, that's a real bright blue. And maybe I'll mix that with a little something else here. So to get it a little more intense. I think that's better. Okay, and then the yellow, you probably should start with the lightest color first, which I didn't do. But because then it's better for your brush, it's better for your palette. So I'll put the yellow over here. I'm going to use a combination of a cadmium yellow and a lemon yellow because I think that that's correct. Okay. Oh, and the only one left is the green one, which I think I have a little hooker's green here. Pardon the expression. Okay, that's a little bit too muted. Okay. That's not too bad. I still don't like it though. I don't know why that's coming so muted. I don't like that muted look. Okay, so let's see tonality wise. That seems right. So to get this going, those are the colors I need. And I think we're pretty good. So I'm going to be doing the package first because I think that's the most difficult. And what I did was I left, if you can see, there are in the photograph, whoops, you can see that there are white areas like highlights here and there across the package. That's because of the type of package that it is. So I actually have those in my, I've left those in there. Okay. So let me get right to the brown. Okay. Now I'm going to, I hope everybody can, I'm going to try to get both of these things in the same camera area. Now what I do is I like to start at the top and you can see that there's a jagged edge there. And a little bit, and of course the package is not going to be straight. Don't worry about the edge, going off the edge, because that's okay. And then you can go right over all the things that you've masked, of course, because they're going to be different color. And I'm going to be going to another painting so that this has a minute to dry, or a few minutes to dry, so that you can see what happens next. Okay, but you see the time spent with your masking fluid is time well spent because it really helps you get around the areas. So I'm doing the edge of the package, which has a, what is that, a sawtooth edge on there, and go right around. And what I meant by going off the edge is, you know, since you're going to be either cutting this out or, let's see. Okay. And then here, I'll get to maybe one or two of the M&Ms because I want to show you the approach for that. But, you know, and this doesn't have to be a measured thing. You can see I'm, you know, going at it pretty free and easy. Now, when I got to the bottom here, you know, you don't want to make it so rigid because it's a package. So I wasn't concerned that that was going to be real stiff and straight. But there's type down here that says net weight or whatever. So that's been masked out as well, because that you can either fill it in with white or you can fill it in with a lighter color, which in some cases there are lighter colors in here and here. Go around. So you can see it's kind of coming to life a little bit. And this
Karen,
yeah?
I feel like I don't have much control over the masking fluid. It
Well,
just
well, then you know what? Pick something that is simpler than this. Okay, don't drive yourself crazy.
Can you use a brush to put the fluid on?
Yeah, sure you can. Just do this first. Put a little soapy water on your brush, And then use your masking fluid with that, like that, because if you can't use it from the pen or you can't use it from the bottle, absolutely, you can do that, yes. Yep, there's nothing wrong with that. And whatever's comfortable, masking fluid takes practice. And just like anything else, learning how to play music or anything takes practice. So here we go.
Can you repeat what the masking fluid is again, or what you do? I think I flipped out on that explanation.
Sure, that's okay. Masking fluid, it can come in a pen shape. I happen to use these little bottles that I bought only because you can get them on Amazon. They come 10 to a package for like a song. They're very inexpensive. And you buy a bottle of masking fluid in the art store, and then you just pour it into here, and then you can use it. And I'll demonstrate this in 1 minute. Let me just get some more of this brown on here. So, okay. And then in here where the actual letter is, you go in, but you can see that I've left plenty masking fluid around it. And what it is, it's like a rubberized resist method, which is what it masks, just like what it says, it masks out the area. See, now you can see the M forming. Okay. And don't worry, you go right over the masking fluid. It won't hurt anything. Mix up a little more paint here. Okay, so right now, I'm going to just go right to one of the M&Ms. Let me put this ampersand in so you can see how that, that gets filled in. And this one is a little more detailed. I mean, there are other candies out. In fact, you don't even have to have one that has a package. You can just have one that, that you like, and you see the shape of it, and it can be out of a candy box or something. Okay. So does everybody get the gist of what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. All right, let me go to one of the M&Ms now, just to give you a feel for that. Okay. What I do is I like to, of course, you can't paint one right next to the other, okay, because then you'll have bleeding concerns. So let me start with, and I don't want to start with the yellow, although that would probably be where I would start if I was painting myself. But it'll be the harder one to see. I'll come up with a blue one, and I'm looking that the blue one is kind of out here in left field, but that's okay. And one thing you should notice, you don't want to go in there and go like this. You don't want to go in and make the circle and paint it blue like that. Well, this one happens to be working a little better. But the idea is you look at your item and you look at your photograph, and you're going to see something where one side is going to be darker than the other. So here's the dark side. Then you just rinse off your brush and you just do water up here. Okay, so that's going to give you form and difference. Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
Okay, so you just don't want to paint a circle in there. Although what's happened on the first one is the water has settled into the bottom area, which isn't bad, but I'll show you the other way. Okay, so let's do the blue one. And that's going to be the one that's up here, right here. And don't worry about, everything being perfectly round, but you know what? It's not a photograph. It's a painting of a photograph. So you give it your best shot. And of course, the M's are facing all different directions because that's how they fell out of the bag. Okay, so this is my dark side when I look at, and you can go back in there and trim it up if you like. And I rinsed the water off, and I went back, and just now I have water, and I'm letting that settle in there. And there's nothing wrong with having a little white here and there, because that's the beauty of watercolor, that all of a sudden there's going to be a highlight on the edge of something. Can you see? Whoops, no. You see, I've left a little bit of a little white thing here, and a little white thing there, but you want to make sure that the area where the M is, the signature of the M&M, you want to make sure that you get decent color on that, because that's going to be, when you take the masking fluid off, you don't want it to be too light. Okay, now let me go to one or two more. Let me go to the orange one. Okay, so there's one that's, let's see, there's down here. Let me go to this one here. It's the same principle. You know, get your outline. So, and some of them are going to be overlapping others. So you just leave that part, you know, you leave this, you don't go on top of it unless it is on top. And then the same thing is happening here, because the light is coming from the left side. So I'm putting on the dark, take the water off, get some water on there, go back in, and give it like that. Okay, now what happens, what's going to make this, I'm going to go back to the one that I finished. You see the drop shadows that are in there? Now, what's really nice about that is that makes them look like they're sitting on a background. It makes them, you know, sit up off the white paper. So I'm going to show you that. It's not really dry enough, but we'll give it our best. I mix a little purple, and honestly, I usually take a little brown and put it into the purple, and then I'm going to test it over here to see how I like the feel of it. Well, that's a little dark. So we'll go back, just adding water, and know that it's, whoop, that's bleeding. Know that it's going to dry lighter. So that's not bad. Then once you get that on there, then you just take water and you go along the outer edge and see how that just goes off to a nice soft shadow. So I'm going to try one over here. Let me try it on the blue, because it's probably a little drier. And looking back at the photograph, I see that there's a real distinct shadow here and some in here. Okay, now I don't mind that, except I want to soft, whoops, that wasn't good. Had a bowl of water drop on there, but you know, and some of the blue, see, it's not quite dry, but let me just try to soften the edge. Okay, but if you did that on each one, let me just try one that's down here. I'm not going to get too close to the orange, because that'll definitely bleed. Put the purple on, rinse your brush, not too much water. And when it dries, you'll really like the feel of it. You'll really like the feel of it. Okay, so this is the example with masking fluid. And then, of course, when you take the masking fluid off, you're going to go back in there and you're going to put in, you know, we can put in some of these M&Ms that are in the package here, because this is, you know, they have it on the package. And you can paint those in. And then when you take the masking fluid off, you can see on the package what's white and what's not. And there's some colors up in here. And, oh, this other M that's up here. Let's try to get some of that in there. And it's okay if it bleeds off because you're going to cut it out. Or if you're not going to cut it out, then you have to stop. Okay.
You go over it several times because it dries so much lighter.
The brown?
What color are you doing? Do you go back and repaint them?
Sometimes if I feel like I want it to be darker. I noticed this package has, you know, some areas that are darker than others. Let me like, you know, I can get in here and make this darker if I want to, you know, to make it stand out. Depending on, you know, depending on the light. And the thing is, when you go back over things, you know, it's going to get streaky. So you have to, you know, you have to be working pretty quickly. Okay, so that's that. Now let me show you an example of what happens with the poem, which is a little bit different altogether. Okay, now this is on the grid. And here I did the poem in masking fluid. And when I read it, it's night sky, a velvet drape, pinned with cluster stars, celestial little diamond gems aloft. So that said to me, well, first of all, night sky is the name of the poem. So that said to me, darker and not, you know, a brighter blue. It could be a deeper blue, but I was thinking more, you know, muted. Now, when I first looked at that poem, I did it with, you know, more of a brighter sky because I looked at the words pinned with clustered stars. So then I used a toothbrush and I went in there and can you see those little
Oh, yeah.
those sparkles? Well, I did that with a toothbrush and some metallic gold, which is, you know, gold you can get in a tube or you can get like this little package. And but then when I looked at this, I thought it was a little too a little too brightsy. It didn't look like night sky to me. So I wanted it to be a little more moody. So that's when I went to this look, which to me, it is a little more moody. I still had the gold sparkles in there. Let's see if you can see them. See them?
Mm-hmm.
They're sparkling. So I still had it, but I had a better color feel for myself. Okay, so let me show you what happens next here. In this case, I'm going to turn this around a little bit. I'm going to mix up. This is kind of an ombre thing where you're starting at the top and then you're changing color all the way down. It's not like an even color, a flat wash. It's not like a flat wash at all. It's more ombre. Okay. So going for that night sky, let me see what we can do here. Put a little water. And then I'm going to, I always like, I'm going to put some blue in here. I'm going to start out with a decent color blue. And then I'm going to, believe it or not, I'm going to add some brown to that. But you see already what's happening. It's getting a little more moody. It's getting a little more moody. And the same kind of lesson or idea about looking at your color before you go at it. Now that's not too bad, but you know, it would be kind of boring if it was all that same flat because the sky is never like that. I mean, you might see a bright blue sky and it might look like that, but you know, a cloud goes by, something happens there, shadows happen. So I'm going to start out with this as my main color, and then I'm going to add water and I'm going to add dark to that. So what do you mean by that? Well, I'm going to add a little more of the blue itself over here. And I'm going to add a little more of the, sometimes I use neutral tint, which is not black, but it's It's a really nice, soft color. Okay, so here we go on the grid. And I'm going to put down some water first. Now, this already has the masking fluid, the words on there. So I'm not afraid of what happens over here. And I don't want to add too much water, just enough to get it going. Okay.
For your shadow, you use purple and brown, right? You
I
said?
did, yes. And another thing to remember when you're doing shadows, whatever you're painting, take a color within the painting and mix it with the purple. Therefore, it becomes related. It becomes related. Okay, so I'm going to start out with the more subtle color that I had here. And I'm going to lay it in there. And then I'm going to put some down here. I'm going to leave a space in there. I'm going to go back with neutral tint and put that at the top so it has a gradation feel. Maybe there's some here. Now, when you're doing something that has words, you have to have some guts to it. Otherwise, the words won't show up. Okay. Now what would have to happen is, you can drop some of the brighter blue in here and there, and it will dry a really nice surprise for you. Try also, when you're putting color in like that, try to link them together somehow. So if I put this bright blue right here, I just, with my brush, went down, linked it to this swash so that there's, a feeling of motion. There's a feeling of motion. And then the same color, the brighter blue, is running along the bottom here. Now, say you wanted something that would be cloud-like. So wait a few minutes until it's not so wet. And then, and this can happen really well or not. So I'm going to give it a shot where you can take your paper towel and you can, sort of blot across the sky here and there. And if you like it, great. If you don't, then you can go back and, put more color back on. But there's something really freeform and lovely about that. And say when this all dries, if I didn't like that it was so white, I could go and put a light wash over it. But you can see that that has a natural sky feel. Okay, so that's that. That's doing, and you let that dry, and then if you need more color on top of that, you can add it later. Okay, does anyone have questions about,
Yeah, Karen, when you take your masking fluid off, are the words in the poem going to show up on that background?
They will. They will absolutely show up. And you might, if you feel that oh my goodness, are you sure? Well, if you want to, that's what happened here. Some of this is a little bit darker, but not much. And then after all this dries and you take off your masking fluid, that's when you go in with your toothbrush. The very last thing you do, you mix up your gold. Where is this here? You mix up your gold. You get it like kind of creamy, not real wet, creamy. And then you put your toothbrush in it, and then you're going to give it one of these, these kind of flicky things. You know what? I could show you that right now, even though it's going to be a mess. But you guys remember, do what you need to do when it's dry instead of when it's wet. But I can show you just as a how-to. How's that? Okay, so we're going to mix some of the water in the gold, and you want it creamy. Let me show you creamy. And it's nice that they sell these metallics in these little pans now where you don't have to invest in a tube. They're easier to deal with. You can revitalize it with water every time, just by adding water to it, it really works. Okay, so here we go. This is kind of creamy. And I'm going to see if I can, the other way, if you don't use a toothbrush, in fact, that's what I'm going to do. So it'll be not so messy. Because normally if I do a toothbrush, I do it over the kitchen sink. You take your brush and you're going to hit the end of it. And you'll see, I'll hold that up to the camera. And it gives you those little stars, those little night stars. You see that?
Yes, yeah. Pretty
Okay.
pretty.
Now, sometimes this is going to take a bit of practice. I don't expect that, I've been painting a long time, and I sort of know what to do when things go wrong or things go right. But if you felt like, oh, is that really going to read? Is that going to read okay? Am I like, was that you, Patty, that talked about?
Yeah. I was just curious with the white clouds.
Yeah, if you have any fear of that, you can always go back in, and not too wet, and you really should not do it over. The gold is the last step. The gold is the last step. So, you can go back in there and you can give it one of these, if you're worried.
Oh, okay.
But I've done it a few times, and, I did it about 5 times because I sent it to my girlfriend who, when we were in high school, she wanted to be a writer and I wanted to be an artist. And guess what? It sort of panned out, which is good. You know what? Before we say goodbye, you can see, Patty, that I added the more blue back in there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And it works.
Thank you.
I want to mention something because I thought this was just absolutely wonderful. At the Morgan Library and Museum in New York City, 36th and Madison, they have a David Hockney show that is running now till May. And it is absolutely wonderful. It's like, this is a watercolor of him. This is a self-portrait watercolor of Mr. Hockney. And there are so many that he did like this. I have an interest now to maybe go beyond to, and this is not a major portrait. This is, an impressionistic portrait. So for myself, I'm trying to get to that place of when I can do portraits in watercolor. So, but the show itself, he has a sketchbook there where he's actually, it's a video where he's turning the pages. It's wonderful. They have everything set up where it's very limited. You have to buy your ticket in advance. They only allow a couple people in the gallery at one time. It's very safe. So if you find that you're brave enough, please try to see that show because it's good. So between now and May.
Excuse me, I have 2 questions.
Sure, of course.
One is, well, first of all, I'm Lauren Bremer, and hi, I'm enjoying the class so much.
Hi, Lauren. Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much. Likewise. In this beautiful painting you just did over your writing, did you write that by hand?
I did. And you know what? Maybe let me show you an example real quickly of that. What I did was on the computer, I sort of put it in there as a guide to see how lines were going to break and how long they were going to go. So I did this for myself first. I put it in front of me, and then I took my masking fluid. And this is the masking fluid. And I'm just gonna, let's see if I can do this so you can see it. Oh, this one might be a little bit better.
Of course, you have fabulous handwriting. Doesn't hurt.
Well, you know what? You work at it. Like here, okay, here's night and sky. And I'll tell you what influenced me was, some of the fonts that you see out there. And then you can make up your own. Here's the A velvet. And you can give yourself pencil lines, real light pencil lines to, to go over it. Let me hold this up so it can be a little more visible. There we go. You see how it sits up on there?
Wonderful.
Okay. And you know what? I did it several times. So don't expect perfect results the first time. It's like I felt like I wanted to see it a certain way. So I kept at it until I liked it. And then that was the one that I did the actual painting on. I did the writing on several of them, and then I saw which one I'd like to do.
My second question would be, what paper do you like the best to work with?
Oh my goodness, what a good question. I love Arches, 130-pound cold press, and I like it on a block. Not necessary, but that's my most favorite, and I feel that it holds up when something goes wrong, and it's beautiful when everything goes right.
Is it a smooth paper or a grained paper?
It has a tooth to it. Now, the smooth would be the hot press, but this is the cold press.
Okay.
And if this was dry, this would be absolutely beautiful. I can just tell the way the water and the paint went on. I can just tell this is probably better than the one I have in the book. But hey, you know, that's what happens. I could probably put this one in one of the other books. Yeah, just as a repeat.
Thank you for
You
sharing.
don't mind those harder edges, like the watermark,
On the sky?
like around the second blue that you put in?
No, I think that that has a very natural feel. Some people object to that because they call them blossoms, but I actually think that makes it look like a watercolor. I think that has the personality. You know, it is a painting. It's not a photograph, and it should look like a painting.
Karen, can I ask you about the fluid, the thing again? When are you going to pull those off on the M&Ms and on that? Do you do it later today, or do you wait a couple of days?
I will do it later today. I'm going to try to paint some more on that M&M paint so I have more done. And then I'm going to, I wouldn't let it go more than a day or two, because then it starts to rip the paper.
And do you use that kind of eraser, that special eraser to pull it up, or what?
No, I have, it's called a, let's see, it's called a rubber cement pickup.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. I mean, worst case, if you don't have it, then you use your finger. But best case is that you get one of these, and they're a couple dollars. So it's totally worth it.
Yeah, I wish we could see you pulling up one.
Oh my. Well, let's see. You know what? I think on the M&M one, let me see if I can try to take something up on that. Maybe up in this corner. Let's see if it's dry enough. Oh yeah, there we go.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Wow.
Isn't that, it's magic.
Yeah, it is. It's magic.
It's so magical. And I'll tell you, when you get your finished painting, where's my M&M one here? When you get, you know, when all of this comes off, and you'll see the word milk chocolate, I've added a little bit of beigey color in there. And, you know, you don't have to have everything white. You can tone it back with a little water if you like. You know, that just depends. But this is really the ticket. Definitely.
Fabulous.
Definitely.
Great.
Oh, and here on the M&M, I can probably do that. Yeah. So see?
Cool. Cool.
I know, it is cool. That's a good word for that. Okay. So for next week, I know I wanted to do the demo today to get us, you know, off and running. For next week, I would decide on maybe one or two. I'd like you to work on 2 paintings at a time, because then you can go back and forth. When one is wet, we'll go to the other one. So pick 2 favorite things. Try to get your little book on its way. It's not necessary to have the booklet done unless you're going to paint directly in the booklet. But if you are, then get it together. You don't have to put on the back cover until you're completely finished and ready. Next week, I'm going to be doing on the back of one of my booklets, I have a beach scene, because that's another favorite place of mine. And here's the scene. It's just, you know, water, sand, and sky. That is the one that I'm going to be doing across 2 panels. Let's see if I have that here. Oh, it's going to be on this one because I thought, wouldn't it be nice to have one that ran across 2 panels? So I'm going to be doing that, and I will do that in front of you. I will practice it during the week so I can make sure it's good. And then I'm going to actually get in here and, we might do something with a little bit of salt down here because it'll give it a little granule feel. I might do a little bit of masking fluid along those wave whites that are in there. I might do the sky as I did it today with putting on the colors and then wiping away. So within this one particular image, there's several techniques, and that's what's going through my mind. And I'd like it to go through your mind as well. Okay.
Wonderful.
Karen?
Excellent.
There was a question. Did you use an eraser to rub the masking fluid off?
I used this rubber cement pickup.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could you use an eraser?
Not really, because an eraser, I don't know, an eraser, you could try it. You could try it on the side. I've never used it. I've even used my finger as a better method, just rubbing it off.
Okay.
What kind of masking fluid?
What kind of masking fluid? You know what? Let me get one from my closet here. 1 second.
You guys, I have a tip. Maybe Karen will agree. If you don't have a pickup thing right now, you can take some of the rubber stuff. So just paint it or put it on a piece of paper, let it dry, and rub it off, and you'll get a little ball.
Oh, yes.
Of it.
Yes.
And you can take that ball of it and collect it as you remove it and make your own little rubber eraser.
That's true. That's true. Yes, I've resorted to that myself.
And I also saw a rubber cement pickup in the dollar store.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Which one? Which store?
The one in 46, the Dollar Tree.
Boy, they're out there. They're getting all the supplies. Okay.
Karen, I'm sorry. I just want to talk about the view, because now, I don't know if everybody else is having the same issue. Now that you're speaking and you're not drawing, I see the whole screen. And during the class, I was only seeing like this. No matter what I did, I couldn't get a full screen. So I don't know what happened with that. Like now I see a full screen of you. Before it was a very small screen. So I don't know, because I know there's 2 things going at the same time.
I saw the whole thing.
That might be
saw the
your
whole thing?
device. That might be your
Maybe. I
device.
tried, all the different views. All right, then something on my end. Then.
Here's this. Well, I just wanted to show you. And we're going to be doing different techniques on, different things that come along. I also have this love of the ballet. And one of my favorite things is the red shoes. So now I'm trying to think of how I can interpret that and put it in as one of my favorite things. So if anybody has any ideas, of course, the first thing that came to my mind was, a dangling pair of red toe shoes. But I'm trying to think of, there was so much drama to that ballet, that movie, that ballet. I'm trying to decide, how can I get the drama going? But if anybody has an idea, please.
Karen, excuse me, what's the name of the masking tape?
Oh, the masking fluid?
Yes.
This is
I can't see it. That's the problem. What does it say there?
Oh, you can't see it.
No.
It says watercolor masking fluid. And this one is by HWC Utility. I bought this one on Amazon. So
Okay.
Watercolor masking fluid.
Thank you.
And the other one that I bought in Jerry's is also, this one says art masking fluid. And this is by Winsor Newton.
Okay.
So, the brand is not that important. My favorite one is this masking fluid HWC. That's my favorite, just because it works well for me. And I've, been using it for a while. Anything else? Okay. Is everybody excited about this? I hope so.
Yes.
I hope so.
It's great to see you again, Karen.
Yes, great
So
class
great.
as always. Thank you.
Great class.
Thanks,
Great
Karen.
class.
So
Yeah.
during the week, make your booklet, make your grid, and have 2 images that you want to work on that we can discuss and you can share with me next week. or you can share with me during the week.
And Karen, if you don't do it directly on the book, would you just cut it and glue
Yes.
it?
Paste it right on. In fact, most of these are pasted in because I didn't want to have to go through a lot of these things twice. So all of these are done separately and pasted in.
You just use a glue stick to.
Yeah, I use that same, what is it? High intensity? Oh no, extreme. Elmer's Extreme. And I want to tell you, I'm sold on this. Does anybody else use this? Yes. Okay, good. So we have some people. Okay. So, come up with your cover idea. Come up with 2 images that you'd like to start out with. And we're on our way. And if it's going to be the grid, then decide on how your grid's going to be divided up. Okay?
You don't mind if we copy M&Ms, huh?
I don't mind at all. In fact, I think it would be fun because we'd see everybody's take on M&Ms. You could line them up. There could be, we could all do M&Ms and they would be so different from each other. No matter what group I've ever painted with, if we had the same image to work from, the results were amazingly different.
Karen, how was the live class at the art museum? Did you begin?
I did begin on Monday.
Cool.
I have 5 students and, Lear Hall, they're in there and it's very spread out. And I have 1 young man and 4 ladies. And it's just been terrific so far.
Cool.
So we'll see where that's going. I hope it's going to be good.
It will be.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much, Karen.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
I just had one quick question about the watercolor that you used. Is that important? What type of watercolor? It looked like you were using a creamy. Yes. Did that come in? Do you have separate, just like the gold you used, or what are what watercolor do you recommend?
I mainly use tube watercolors, and I use a variety. They could be Winsor Newton, they could be Aquel, they could be Daniel Smith. It just depends on what colors you like. And when you're setting up your palette, this was empty the other day, and I did a cleanup on it. And then the only thing I ask you is if you set up your palette from warm to cool.
Okay.
So it's yellow, orange, reds, purples, blues, greens, browns, natural tint.
Okay.
Yeah. So
thank you so much. But you recommend the ones that come in a tube?
I do, because first of all, now that I've put these all in here, all I do is add with this. What I call it is I wake them up with a little water, and they're all set and ready to go.
Oh, that's
so
great.
you can use the pans, but they don't have the viscosity, the creaminess, and the feel that you need as a painter.
Okay,
So
thank you so much.
Good. It's good to start out with that.
What kind of metallic paint were you using?
Oh, this is so excellent. I have to share this with you. At Blick, and maybe online, but I bought this at Blick. It's called Fine Tech, FINETEC. And they have maybe 5 golds. This is Arabic gold, ARABIC. Of all the golds, I thought this one worked best. And I've had this for a couple months, and I'm just using it and adding water and using it, and it's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So the brand is Fine Tech. They come also in, you can buy them in like a little pan set, where they have several colors. But I find I use gold and silver the most. And if I wanted the other colors, I could buy them one at a time as well.
Karen, what about the palette you're using today? That's really nice.
This one is just my travel one, and I use it because of the limited space on my drawing table. But I'll show you the one I normally use. Hang on one minute. And these are all, you know, plastic and they can be easily cleaned. This comes with a top. Okay. And this is set up the same way. Look how clean that is. Isn't it beautiful? I have to commend myself. And then along the edge, because I want to remember what I have going, I write with a Sharpie all the names all the way around. So that's a good memory thing. Okay. And I squeeze enough paint out, and then if I find I'm running low, I add to it. And then every time I'm painting, I just add water and it comes back to life. It's just wonderful.
Where did you get the travel one?
The travel one, I think both of these I bought in Blick, but the travel one, let me see the name on that one because it's really a nice one. Walter somebody. But here, here it is. There's one of Nancy's bugs on the top. And because it has enough area that this top piece comes out and you can add, more mixing space. See this? This comes out, so you can have this mixing space, this and that. So this is really a goodie. And they have this in Jerry's and Blick. I sound like a commercial.
Karen?
Yes?
Rita, can I just make a comment? I just bought a palette like that with the plastic insert. And one of the things that I did was I made a graph that copies the palette, and I put the names of the paints in there and then put the plexiglass on top. And it's taken me so much to learn the names. I know it sounds silly, but
it's not. No.
So that works great for me. And I love having all the different services, surface for wash, because then maybe I'll make enough, maybe.
Of course. That's a great idea. Put the graph underneath. Absolutely. Yeah. And what you should do, another thing that you should do, let me do this on one last note. I promise. You should make for yourself a chart. Because every time you buy a new paint, you see this? When you're standing in the art store and you're looking at tubes of paint, how do you know what they look like on paper? How do you know? You don't know. So what I did, I started as I bought paint, more paint and more paint. I put the names and I put what they look like. So when I'm working on a painting and I say, oh, I need something like this. This is my my guide. And then I also did on the other side my brushes, so I knew what brushes were good for what, and the strokes. So I mean, look at it. It's kind of beat up and old, but it's a goodie. It's a standard. Okay. Hey, Candy, is that you? How's that baby? Oh, good.
Gorgeous.
Oh, I bet. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Anything else? We're good? Hi, Susan. Hi, Sally. Candy. I guess everybody else has flown the coop. John. Okay.
Great project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great project.
Thanks, Karen.
Okay. See you next time.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.